So what I want to do in this video is share with you a different approach to nutrition than maybe what you've traditionally done. Now, the truth is most guys have weight to lose. They've got body fat hanging around, generally around the midsection that they want to get rid of. And the most common way for guys to lose extra body fat is to do calorie tracking, right? So we want to figure out like, what is your basal metabolic rate? We'll figure that number out. There's different ways to test that. And then we'll subtract 500 calories from that. And we want you to be in a calorie deficit for an extended period of time until you lose the excess weight. So you might download something like MyFitnessPal, and that will allow you to track your calories and also all of the macros, right? The proteins, the carbohydrates, the fats. Now, that approach does work. No question. But there's been a lot of research that shows that if you use that approach with your nutrition, you will lose weight, but there's a really good chance that after a year's period of time, and I think it's something like if you lose 25 or more pounds, don't quote me on that number, but it's something like 25, maybe 30 pounds, you will gain all of that back and then some within the year if you do calorie restriction. So there needs to be a better way. And way back in the day, almost 20 years ago now, I was in a similar situation. I needed to lose weight. I needed to get more healthful. And I went down this road of like tracking my calories. And I would have like spreadsheets, and it worked, but it was really messy. And once I got my health back and I started feeling better, I'm like, look, I got to make a choice here. Either I have to just stop tracking my calories and potentially gain the weight back and get a little less healthy than what I had attained, or I need to find a better way. Obviously, I chose to figure out a better way. And I did have some help on this journey, but here's how it sort of manifested. It started with a hypothesis. And my hypothesis was this, like there is a better way to lose body fat and maintain a healthy body fat for a lifetime, besides using calorie restriction or macros for that matter, right? So my hypothesis was, again, there's got to be a better way than tracking calories, right? And my thinking was, my methodology was going to be, well, I'm just going to focus on the quality of my food rather than the quantity of my food, because that's where everybody goes. And I want to think differently. And it's much easier for me to just pay more attention to what's actually going into my face rather than trying to track every single calorie. Right. And I did this for many, many years. So I did that for maybe 8, 10 years, maybe even a little bit more than that. And it worked really, really well. And I didn't have to track anything. I wasn't tracking any numbers. I wasn't doing anything. And I was able to maintain about a 10% body fat for a lifetime and stay incredibly healthy and incredibly energetic. And I started sharing my methodology with others because I was in the health and fitness and nutrition and human performance world. That was my career. So I started sharing this with other people, but it was more of just a framework than anything. So after about 8 to 10 years of kind of doing this and sharing with others and seeing other people get results, I'm like, I'm onto something here. There's no doubt that I'm onto something. But I knew that in order for me to prove it to the world, in order for me to bring it to other people and show other people that, look, you don't have to do all the traditional stuff. You can just focus on the quality of food. I knew we needed data. So then I had to become a software engineer. Now, I'm not a software engineer by any means, but I knew that we needed to have a software to track what I was doing with some numbers. We had to quantify this data, and then we had to correlate it with actual results. We had to correlate it with actual body fat, body weight numbers going down, right? So that's what I did. So I dove into this whole kind of software development thing. Now, again, I'm not a software developer, but I did come up with a working model that's given me a lot of data over the last probably about 6, 7 years now, maybe even closer to 8. But anyways, I've got a bunch of data because we've been tracking this stuff and it works incredibly well. There is no question of correlation between the quality of the food and your weight loss and your ability to sustain it. And that's what I want to share with you. I want to show you what these numbers are. And I think the best way to do it is to show you some examples. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples of some people that I've worked with recently, and I'm going to show you what we've done, the only thing that we focused on, and what their results actually were. So you can see for yourself that we're not doing calorie restriction. And these are people that came into my program, Athletic After 40, who really legitimately wanted to find a better way. And they need to lose weight. Like they had weight to lose and they didn't want to do the calorie stuff. They've done it before. They didn't want to do it again because they were on that roller coaster, right? They were down, they were up, they were down, they were up, they were quote unquote normal. So we applied it, and that's what I'm going to share with you here. So if we take a look at this software, and I call it Metrics That Matter, I know not very unique as far as names go, but this software is something that we use with all of our VIP clients. If you're interested in learning what it looks like to work with us on your nutrition, on your health, on your fitness, on your sleep, all of those things, and you want to customize solutions specifically for you, then reach out, let me know, post something in the comments or wherever. There might be a button somewhere on here to connect with me, and we'll see how we can best help you out. So into the software, let's take a look at this. The first thing, before you start looking at all of these numbers in this data, I want to give you what the framework is. So we have something called an RFP. So the RFP is what we call the real food percentage. Again, RFP is real food percentage. So in order to track that percentage, we need a prescription. And the prescription for quality food is meat, veggies, nuts, seeds, and fruit. Meat, veggies, nuts, seeds, and fruit, right? So let me just give you an example. If I had a 100% day, it would just mean that everything I consumed came from one or more of those categories. Okay, so if I had an 80% day, that means 8 out of 10 things that I consumed in my day came from meat, veggie, nuts, seeds, and fruits. Anything else would be considered an other category food, right? So if it's pizza, that would be other because it doesn't fall into meat, veggie, nuts, seeds, and fruit, right? So hopefully that makes sense. And what I found after tracking all of this data is I found that in order for someone to start losing body fat, to start feeling better, to get better numbers from their doctor, to start performing better when they start exercising, to have more energy, where the magic happens is somewhere around 70 to 80%. Okay, so what that means is you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be at 100%. I used to think that I needed to be at 100%, and I was holding myself to that standard. And then I started measuring the numbers and started seeing what other people were doing. And I'm like, there's people getting incredible results at 70%, right? There's people getting incredible results at 80%. But it seems that anything under 70% is where we don't really see the results. So all we have to do really at the end of the day is make more good decisions than bad decisions when it comes to nutrition, and you will see yourself get into a much better place. So with this gentleman here, I'm not going to show his name here, but you can see these are his numbers day by day, right? So we track initially when someone comes into our program, we track these numbers. I don't want you to have to track numbers forever, but I think it's important just to see what the habits are and what the numbers actually look like, and then to help, it helps us to start building some habits and making some changes. So this gentleman here, you can see he's been really kind of right in that 70, 80%. He's even got a couple of days in here, 94%, 90%, right? Here's an 85%. So he's had a lot of really good days. Over the last 7 days, he's been at 86%, and you can see his lifetime average is 75%. So when I said between 70 and 80, like he is exactly where we need him to be. And he's been here for about a month. Okay, so he's been with us for a month. And let me just show you the results that this gentleman has as far as weight loss goes. Now, his starting weight is on the right side. You might be thinking it's on the left. It's actually on the right side, and it goes down to the left. So he started with us on December 15th, and he came in at 240 pounds. Now, this is an active guy. So it's not like he was just sitting around doing nothing. He was doing exercise. He was eating okay. He said he was eating okay and just couldn't get rid of the weight. So I'm like, well, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to get you to 70, 80% RFP, and we're going to hold you to that standard, and we're going to build some habits. And here's what happened. So over the days, you can see that this gradually started to come down, right? So at the very end, which is not the very end, but we're still working with this gentleman, but on 118, so what is that, about a month? Yeah, so almost a month, this gentleman lost 11 pounds. And his body fat went from 33% down to 31%. He's got more to go, no doubt, but he is on the right track. And the only thing that we did with this gentleman is we focused specifically on just the RFP. We focus specifically on just the quality of the food, because the quality of the food is what matters the most. Okay, so hopefully it makes sense. So this is this gentleman. Let's look at someone else here. All right, so let's take a look at this gentleman. Now, he hasn't recorded his foods in a little bit, just because he sort of graduated out of having to record his foods, but his lifetime percentage is 82%, right? So this was a gentleman who was an ex-football player back in the day. Now he's in his 40s, and he gained a bunch of weight. became pre-diabetic and came to us with the same problem where he would cycle back and forth between like a normal weight and then he gained a bunch of weight back. So he was on this roller coaster of results, just like the last client that I showed you. And he came to me and he's like, look, I don't want to do this anymore. I need a better way. And this is what we did. So he came in, we got him to about 80%. And you can see he started, let's show all dates here. He started with us at 285, and this was on September 15th. And you can see same thing. All we did was focus on the quality of his food. We got his RFP up, we got it to 70, 80%. And you can see just the trend downward. He's gone all the way down to 256, and it is now January 18th. So what is that, about 4 months? So 4 months, he's lost whatever that math is, 56, 76, 86, almost 20 pounds in 4 months. And his body fat has come down from 41% all the way down to 34%. And he's not done yet. He's continuing on the journey. He's continuing to lose weight. He's continuing to build his fitness. He's continuing to feel better about himself. And again, he loves every client that I work with, just loves the fact that they don't have to starve themselves. They don't have to starve themselves because there's nothing worse than restricting the food that you can eat and going through your day hungry all day. It's just not a good place to be. So here is proof, right? I've given you 2 examples. I've got many, many more, but hopefully this makes sense. Hopefully this gives you the idea of what we're doing here, and multiply this by 100. It works pretty much 100% of the time if you're willing to do the work, right? And it does take some work. It takes some for a lot of people. The hardest thing is getting you out of the mindset of thinking that it's all about quantity, because it's been so burned in our brains. Quantity, calories in, calories out, right? And there's some truth to all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, the most important thing that you should be focused on is results. If you can eat more and you can lose weight, I don't care what any other guru or expert or scientist or doctor tells you. If you're eating quality foods and you're losing weight, you're winning. You're winning. You can explain it any way that you want. It doesn't matter, but you're winning. And I've got data to support it, which is exactly what I'm showing you here. So hope that makes sense. I'm going to show you one more thing, and I'm going to provide you with a valuable tool that you're going to be able to use on your journey. Now, the software I use just for my VIP clients, so you obviously won't have access to this unless you become a client of Athletic Over 40, in which case all you have to do is just click on the button to contact us, or to wherever the button is on here, or to send us a message just to figure out how we might be able to help you. We can't help everybody, but we do. We are sort of selective with who we bring into our coaching program. So if it's something that you're interested in and you want support on all of these fronts, let me know just by clicking on the button around this page. All right, so let me show you this tool, and this I will give you access to. And this is a tool that I used many years ago before I had the software. And we call this the RFP Planner. So here is the RFP Planner. And this thing, what we're going to do is we're going to put in, so let's say you want to track your meals for the day, or maybe you want to look backwards at yesterday and you want to put in here whatever it was that you ate, and you want to get your RFP. Like what does your normal day look like, right? So you can use this as like a tracker for your day-to-day life, or you can use it as a planner. A lot of guys use it as like a planner. Like, what am I going to do tomorrow? What am I going to do when I travel? What if I did this? What about this recipe? And they can sort of map out their days and make it so that they can get to that 80%, 70, 80% RFP. So I've got some sample data in here. So imagine like a breakfast. Like, let's just say, and this is something that we see a lot of guys do. They'll have like eggs for breakfast. Maybe they'll have an orange juice. They'll have some bacon, an avocado, and maybe some almonds, right? So, and then on here, we've got some time. We're not too worried about the time. And then we've got the handfuls. So going back to this idea that the thing that we really want to focus on is quality, but we track quantity with our clients. But I'm almost to the point where I just want to completely eliminate that, because 95% of the time we never have to look at quantity, right? So we track it, but we don't really put any emphasis on it at all. You can basically eat whatever you want, or as much food as you want, as long as you're within that 70, 80% RFP. Okay, so bear with me here, just because this is an old spreadsheet and this is kind of how this works, but it's still very, very functional. So eggs, let's just say it was like 3 or 4 eggs, which would be about 2 handfuls. So you put 2 handfuls, eggs are meat. Then we got orange juice, which would be an other category. Now you might be thinking, well, isn't that a fruit? Most of the orange juices that are out there have a ton of added sugar. So start looking at food labels. And if you notice that the ingredients, not the chart, but look at the ingredient label, and you'll notice that many of them, which you think are natural, have a bunch of added sugar. It's amazing how much added sugar there is in orange juice. So that's why we put that in the other category. And then we've got bacon, which would be a meat. We've got avocado, which would be a veggie. And then we've got almonds, which of course fall in the nuts and seeds, right? And you can just fill this out for your day. And now, based on that data, if I scroll down, you can see that this was an 80% RFP meal, which is within the prescription, right? If this thing was lower, like let's just say I had a muffin, and let's say what else? Let's say I had a protein bar, right? Which we think is good for us, but most of them are just loaded with sugar and processed. So let's say that was 2 handfuls. Let's say that was 2 handfuls. Now look how that affected the number, right? Now it drops you down to 57%, right? Now, something to really be aware of here is the quantity has zero bearing on the RFP, okay? So if I change this to a 1 and a 1 and a 1, it doesn't matter. The RFP does not change, right? So they're independent of each other. You can see it's still 57%. The most important thing that I'm telling you that you need to focus on is the RFP. Don't worry about this handful thing. Again, we track it. We used to track it because we assume that if we got people eating majority of real foods, there might still be a tendency to overeat, which I've pretty much debunked. So it's on here. You can use it, but don't worry about it. You do need to fill in a number here, but you can fill in whatever you want, and it will track your RFP. All right, so there it is. So this is exactly how you can use this methodology to lose weight, to build some new habits, and to never have to track a calorie again, right? If you can just build this system, if you can build this methodology, if you can build this framework into your life, if you can create habits around this, which is really not that hard to do, then you can live a great life in a body that looks good, feels good, performs good. Add in things like great exercise, build your strength, build your physical capabilities, build your endurance. When you do those things and you sleep good at night and you think good thoughts and you're a positive person and you love on your family and you do all that stuff, it's amazing, amazing how good you can feel and how healthy you'll be and just how much more you're going to enjoy this one life that we have to live. And again, if you'd like some help on this journey, just click on the button, contact me somehow, and we'll see how we can best help you on your journey. Thanks for spending time with me. I hope you have an amazing, amazing day.